another Gettin Real with Ashleydawn. I'm just kidding. So it's another Gettin Real with Ashleydawn, and I want to talk to you about letting people off the hook. Okay. So I like fishing. I don't know if anybody watching likes fishing too, but sometimes if you're fishing, you'll catch a fish and you'll get to reeling it in, and it'll get right before the boat, and it'll come unhooked. It'll spit the hook out. It'll let it go. And a lot of time when I'm fishing with my buddies or whatever, they get all mad and they're hooping and hollering and, oh man, I missed it. But I kind of enjoy it. And I know it sounds crazy, like, oh, you don't get a picture of it. You don't get to tell people that, you know, you caught this big old fish, whatever. But for me, I kind of enjoy it because, for me at least, I don't have to unhook it. I don't have to unhook the fish from the hook. It kind of did all the work for me. And so I say all that to say, when maybe you're expecting something from someone, maybe it's a family member, maybe it's a friend, maybe it's a husband, maybe it's a wife, maybe it's a boyfriend, maybe it's a girlfriend, but you're maybe expecting them to do something and then they don't. Or maybe you're expecting someone to show up and then they don't. Let them off the hook. Let them off the hook. Maybe something came up. Maybe they had a bad day. Maybe a circumstance that you're not aware of happened. Let them off the hook. That's essentially what grace is. Grace is letting people off the hook. It's saying, I had this expectation and I know you didn't meet it, but I'm gonna let you off the hook. I'm gonna forgive you, right? I wanted you to come here. Maybe it's a birthday party, maybe it's an event. I wanted you to come here and you didn't. And you know, I got my feelings hurt a little bit, but you know what? It happens. I'm gonna let it go. I'm gonna forgive you. I'm gonna let you off the hook. Maybe you're a boss, and maybe you have an employee who's never late, and then they're late. Let them off the hook. I mean, if it's like a habitual thing and it's every day, and every time you ask somebody to do something, they flake on you, and every time somebody says they're going to be there, they're not. That's a whole different thing. But if it's a once in a while thing, or maybe once the first time ever thing, let them off the hook. Let them off the hook. That's grace. That's showing grace to somebody. That's saying that essentially you love them more than their actions. You love them more than the things they can or cannot do. Does that make sense? So for instance, God had an expectation of us to live righteous lives, to listen to what he had to say, to follow what he told Adam and Eve. And they didn't, right? Essentially, God let them off the hook. God covered them with clothes. God sacrificed for them. No, they couldn't go back to the garden. That was their consequence for, you know, the choice that they made. But God covered them. Love covers a multitude of sins. Grace covers a multitude of mistakes. I just look at my life. I'm not perfect. I fail. I mess up all the time. And when I fail and when I mess up, I hope and pray that the people in my life can extend grace to me. When I show up late to a party, or I show up late to an event, and a lot of time, it happens more times than not, and it's not because I don't care. Honestly, it's because I care too much. And so there'll be 4 or 5 events in one day, and I'll try to go to all of them. And so some I'll be super early at and some I'll be super late at, but I at least try to show up. If I tell someone I'm going to be somewhere, I'm there. Like, that's one thing about me and who God has created me to be and who Bobby and Michelle raised me to be. If somebody asks me to be somewhere and I tell them that I will be there, if I have to walk through fire to get there, I'll be there. Regardless of what, I will be there. If I give my word, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it no matter what it looks like what I'm going to have to do. If I say it, I'm going to do it. But not everybody was raised the same as me. Not everybody lives their life that way, and that's okay. I'm going to extend grace to them. I'm going to understand that we have two totally different lives. We have two totally different ideas of what a handshake and a good word means. But let them off the hook. And here's another thing. If maybe you're interested in somebody, maybe you are dating somebody. If you're a guy, you're dating a girl. If you're a girl, you're dating a guy. And maybe they don't call you back. Maybe they don't text you back. Maybe you have plans and they cancel. Maybe that was God. Maybe just as those fish spit the hook out, maybe God had them spit the hook out. Maybe that's not God's best for you. Maybe that's not God's plan for you. I know that I have a lot of singles that watch my page. And honestly, singles ministry is the largest ministry in the world because there's so many people that are single, right? A lot of time we get frustrated and we get upset for the people that are taken out of our life, the people that break up with us, the relationships that don't work out the way that we wanted them to, when really a lot of it is God's grace, that He could see things that we couldn't. I know I've had quite a few of relationships where I thought they were, this is it, this is it, this is it. That wasn't it. That was not it. God has good things for you. And if you will trust Him and if you will hold on to Him, you'll get to see what those things are. But if you cling to it yourself and you try to do everything your own way, don't necessarily know that you're going to get what you want out of it. Let people off the hook. Let people be people. We're flawed. We're human. We make mistakes. We need grace. We need God's grace. So let's give each other God's grace. Let's let each other off the hook. That's all I got. You are seen, you are celebrated, you are loved. And God's grace is enough for you. Love y'all.